Welcome to Summoner's Rift. Seconds until minions spawn. Minions have spawned.
Actual champion. We have a traditional tank up for the Bennett here. And, you know, we also have mid-only on the Victor here as well. So a bit more of a comfort champion for him. In that sense, it's been banned, I think, both games so far. So they actually left it open. But you see Catasol on the Vex here in this one. So definitely got a comfortable champion for him. And honestly, this is a composition that DNX is very comfortable with playing. They have very proactive and very much playmaking on a lot of their members. So we'll definitely have to wait and see how this one does end up playing out. But, you know, I actually really like this tank pick here for Bennett. He's been kind of struggling here with the top one here, but this is a champion that can kind of fight back a little bit, I would say. But Panzora should be able to still kind of whack him with that Wukong.
Yeah, Panzora does have the Ignite, so definitely going to be looking to get aggressive up here on the top side. Of course, knows that Bennett has the scaling advantage, so is going to want to be aggressive through the early levels. Both junglers starting on the same side of the map, but with Llama being on the Ivern, his route is going to kind of take him a more unique way, and he's going to probably end up on the bot side where he started. Whereas for Shady Gecko, just going to go for a full camp clear here, I would imagine. Level 4 for Zac is pretty much needed. 2 points in the E for that extra range on those potential ganks, and we'll see where he does want to turn his attention towards first here. For Llama, it's going to be a lot more about tracking the enemy jungler, making sure that his lanes are protected and able to scale effectively, whereas for Shady Gecko, he is the one that's going to be wanting to get in on this action early on.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and also like we talked about how the Ivern has to use his health and his mana as a resource tool to basically clear away any of these camps. You know, he definitely gets very, very low throughout basically his entire jungle clear very, very on. But Zac actually not finding him very early. He's actually ended up just kind of doing his own clear of a bot half of the camp as well. And Ivern's already level 3, potentially making a visit here into the mid lane potentially. That's a decent wraparound on the Vex, but actually just ends up placing a bush in the red buff camp, but now he's walking mid.
Yeah, Llama looking for something here in the mid lane. It looks like Catasol is playing safe enough to not be getting ganked here, but Ivern isn't a champion that you think about having early aggression and being wanting to go for those early ganks, but yeah. Ivern ganks can sometimes take you by surprise. The root is pretty strong. It allows your teammates to jump right to the rooted target into auto attack range, and it can really provide a lot of gap close for some of these ganks and a lot of setups. So Llama not going to find anything there in the mid lane, just wanting to help mid only kind of get this one under tower. Looks like he will do exactly that, but Shady Gecko looking for his turn to maybe make a gank happen here in the mid lane. Is going to be going forward. Elastic Slingshot finds its mark. Q onto the minion. Will get the pullback. Mid only puts down the pool. Is going to grab a stun onto Shady Gecko. A little bit of damage coming out from Catasol, but it's not enough to knock mid only all the way down.
Yeah, but he does have TP though, so if he does choose to TP back in the lane, he won't actually miss much, but I'm pretty sure his buy is not going to be the most optimal buy. They kind of pushed him out a little bit earlier than they would have actually wanted to. So instead, he just buys a corruption potion and TPing back in. So yeah, definitely not the most optimal buy here for him, but didn't actually blow fast. So in a lane where you're playing against Vex and against Zac, you want to have that flash up in the mid lane at basically all times here. So you definitely take that trade, I would say. You got a corruption potion for just being able to have that safety net in your flash. But you know, so far, Seikiko is already having a lot of presence. Actually, Bennett dashing forward.
Yeah, Bennett trying to wave clear this as fast as he can so that he'll prevent Panzora from grabbing a freeze. But bot side here, going forward is the bot laner of Hard Hat Zone. Their Dragon Mooncake getting it turned back around him. This counter gank coming through Fahu. He's going to flash forward and grab the first blood, and now Alternative is going to be on the run. Shady Gecko still looking to get stuff done. Alternative cutting this out quite well, returning some damage back and forth, whittling down some of these DNX health bars. It will just be the one trade, but Shady Gecko looking for the re-engage, has to flash away. The heal used as well. Alternative standing tall in this fight. Flash already burned for the Jinx. Not going to be able to find anything on to the backside of that one. First blood here into the hands of DNX.
Yeah, and really good read there, I would say, by Shady Gecko. You know, he's able to actually be there on time for the gank that Llama was trying to do there. But honestly, as they were walking away there from that kill, Alternative chose to just walk away instead of fighting that one out. Definitely not getting as many auto attacks as I would have liked to have seen out of him there. Basically, was able to just not really do anything. He was in auto attack range, basically, I would say, the entire time, as Catasol does have level 6, but only has level 6 too. Llama's around.
Llama and Dragon Mooncake looking for the 3-man gank here onto Catasol. The flash is burned off the Vex. Going to be able to remain safe for now. I have to say, Orion, that's like... Oh no, that hits him! The blind R from Catasol! Llama trying to survive. Actually, the burst damage is not enough to take him out. Now Catasol... He's on the wrong side of the rift. Might have to look for an execute angle, or at least to just give the kill to Llama. Will do exactly that. Try to pick up what CS he can on the way. The kill does go over to Llama. I like the attempt there from Catasol. You have to respect it. I personally thought he had the lethal damage there to take him out, but Dunkmaster Ivern just barely surviving that one.
Yeah, it was actually very, very close, but the second Vex's ultimate came through with the R2, he was able to smite the Raptor camp, regaining a lot of that HP, and also hit the shield up as well. But Alternative getting ganked here.
Getting flashed on Xernean with the flash snare. Nice cleanse out of Alternative. Is going to get pulled back onto the tower here, but Shady Gecko has to be a little bit careful. Is going to be able to survive. Had the passive, if just in case, but Alternative... Going to trade Cleanse for Xernean's Flash. That is a positive trade here for the Hard Hat Zone bot lane.
Yeah, and not only that, but the wave is in a very awful state here for the Jinx. She has to get a reset, so she's going to go down some pretty hefty CS here. She's already down 15 CS, which, you know, we kind of know Jinx has been hit multiple times. Llama's going particularly aggressive. We'll have to slow here for the shield.
Yeah, he has some backup coming in here too as well. Dragon Mooncake on the roam. Xernean's going to be a little bit slow to this, but Catasol going to be able to kite this one out towards their support, and the shield there is going to ensure that Hard Hat Zone can't chase that one any further. Yeah, they don't really get much off of Catasol there, as we see an all-in here in the top side. Bennett has a lot of armor stacked up, just rushed that Bramble Vest as fast as possible, so is going to be able to just stay back, and again, this top lane is going even. Bennett actually able to withstand the Panzora onslaught here in Game 3, and it seems like the scaling carries here for the side of Hard Hat Zone are doing all right. Alternative is down a little bit in CS, down about 25 or so, and now this is going to be the engage. Shady Gecko's going to find the knock up. The Enchanted Crystal was already in. Dragon Mooncake will be the target, looking to be the sacrificial lamb as Alternative runs for the hills. They do grab the Zac Blobs. The passive comes through. Nice shield from Llama is actually going to buy some time. Dragon Mooncake will go down, but the Blobs can't be killed fast enough. No trade kill coming through here just yet. Gecko wants more. He's got the knock up onto Alternative, and Llama will be the next to fall. DNX are all of a sudden in the lead. They want this Game 3 victory.
Yeah, and we talk about the early laning struggles here for Jinx, and she's already been put so far behind, and Fahu was a level advantage there, had the Crystalline Arrow, and they were able to do so much initial damage before the shield from Llama was actually able to do not so much there, and basically putting both Dragon Mooncake and Alternative to half HP. And we talked about how that this Jinx is just not like a particularly very good laning champion, and if you don't allow it to scale, she will never be the late game scaling monster that we know she can be in some of these fights. So you're probably not going to be able to just rely on the scaling advantage of Jinx if they continue down this path.
Definitely becomes very scary for Hard Hat Zone. Yes, they have another scaling option in the Victor in the mid lane, of course, but this Jinx is all of the AD damage for this squad. It is 100% of their physical damage. It is 50% of their late game carry potential in this composition. So yeah, Alternative is going to need to take a deep breath here, try and fight his way back in this lane. Needs to catch up a little bit in CS. Is down still about 20 or so, which isn't too bad, but with a couple of those kills going over to Fahu and Xernean, they are going to look even more threatening down here in the bot side. Panzora using this ultimate just to push the wave out and try to chunk Bennett out as best he can, but with the Warden's Mail now in for this Ornn, I don't feel like there's ever going to be kill threat again for this Wukong top side.
Yeah, it's definitely pretty hard. He does have the armor penetration coming through on that Q, so it is a little bit, like, you can kind of nullify it some, but ultimately, you know, he is mostly just here to kind of get as much farm as he can and have a very strong impact in some of these fights. You know, Bennett is up here to be the neutralizer in this lane, which is what Ornn is so good at doing. But you know, the rest of the map here for DNX is winning. You know, like if you're Panzora, you're in a position saying, hey, I don't really have to do anything in this position. Llama looking mid, root does land.
Is going to find the root. Catasol on the retreat. Doesn't have flash available. Chaos Storm ticking away. Can it find a couple more? No. Catasol will escape. It was just the ultimate used from BB, so it's not like they invested too much into that gank, but Hard Hat Zone just can't catch a break in this series. It feels like they can't quite finish that one off in the mid lane. And again, they are the team in this early game that just have to try and weather the onslaught. Any little kills, any little extra pickups that they can do is huge. This is kind of creative from Llama here, using the ultimate Daisy over the wall to tank up the eye, or the Rift Herald, then he's able to smack the eye in the back. I like that.
Yeah, for sure, and he's going to be able to get it here as well. No one's actually in the area, I think. Panzora's potentially coming down here just trying to stop it, I would say, but he's going to wrap around actually into the Kruk camp. And Llama's actually in.
There's no smite. Oh.
He's actually in here, and he does have flash actually. Flash away. Xernean has ulti.
Still the Vexalt. Catasol comes in. They should be able to clean this one up. Ignite goes down. Llama ticking away. Does have the shield, actually. He's going to buy an extra second, but Catasol picks it up in the end. Llama's going to trade his life for a Rift Herald. Meanwhile, topside, Bennett with a nice knock-up. Going to find a couple brittle procs there as well. And yeah, Panzora does have to be a bit careful. If Bennett can find the right angle, there's almost kill threat the other way here for the Hard Hat Zone top laner.
Yeah, but Shake goes up here, though, so Panzora honestly is just baiting. He wants Bennett to go aggressive.
And he does exactly that. Call of the Forge God now coming through. There's not going to be any way to interrupt this. Yes, there is. There's still the Cyclone. What am I talking about? Panzora going to interrupt the Call of the Forge God, and DNX are off to the races here in Game 3. They are up 2,500 gold. They are up 6 kills to 1, and they have the Dragon stacking up.
Yeah, and you can feel this game is just slipping and slipping away from Hard Hat Zone here immediately. That tower was very, very healthy 5 seconds ago, and it's already lost almost all of its plates. 3 out of 5 down there, completely solo to the Wukong as well. And we talked about how he was not necessarily be able to punish the Ornn in this top lane anymore, but he built the Divine Sunderer now, so he actually does have that tank shred coming through with that item. So he will be able to continuously kind of punish Bennett in the side lane for a little bit until he actually gets his own mythic purchase. And yes, we've talked about Hard Hat Zone having the scaling advantage, but once again, if they're not allowed to scale, the scaling advantage just does not matter.
Ooh, Llama looking for an invade here is actually going to find out Shady Gecko. The double Q comes through. Daisy going to be summoned on in. Shady Gecko looking for an escape angle over the wall is actually going to get knocked up, but it looks like Llama actually is the one that has to leave because the bot lane here from DNX is so quick to the rotation. So the red buff invade is not going to come up with anything, and Llama still looking for a proactive play with this Rift Herald. Looks like he is just going to drop it here in the bot side. I like this. Little bit of an infusion of gold here onto alternative with the Jinx.
Yeah, and your alternative is going to be your main DPS champion source. Obviously, Victor's damage is going to be very nice, but you want the gold in alternative's hands. But it did get shared 3 ways, though. Finding land.
Through. That's going to be the Enchanted Crystal Arrow. Shady Gecko still looking for this one. Unfortunately, is going to slingshot right onto those Jinx Chompers and not quite going to be able to find an angle here.
Oh, that root.
4 members strong here. Our Hard Hat Zone, but mid only might be the target. It is going to be the Elastic Slingshot coming in. Let's bounce coming through. Xernean into the stopwatch. Lots of flashes here coming out from Hard Hat Zone. In the front lines is mid only, but can he find a kill? No. Xernean and Fahu take him out. Shady Gecko still alive on the backside of this fight. And Alternative is the only one of Hard Hat Zone to live the engagement. The 4 versus 4 goes hard the way of DNX, and they are starting to build up a massive lead in this one. It's not even 15 minutes in. They're 4,500 gold in the lead.
Yeah, and that fight was mostly built around the fact that Shady Gecko had his mythic up and available. That Sunfire Cape was doing so much damage in that fight. It was actually be able to basically kill out multiple members, and Panzora is actually pretty far up in this lane. lane. You can probably chunk him out to about maybe 30%. It won't quite kill him though, but still ends up pushing him away a little bit there, as the dragon is also picked up by DNX once again. They are on pace for a 25-minute Dragon Soul, and that's bad news bears if you are Hard Hat Zone here. You want this game to go about 30 minutes plus. You probably won't be online by that 25-minute marker.
Yeah, I mean, there's still just components of the first item for both of their carries here, right? Neither of them are farming excruciatingly badly or anything like that, but there's a long way to go before this team composition is online, and we're seeing DNX really take advantage of the early game weakness that we said this Hard Hat Zone draft does have. Now, we can't count them out just yet. This is game 3 of the conference finals. Their backs are up against the wall. You know that they will fight tooth and nail for this game, and so they're going to do everything in their power to stall out DNX, to make this game last as long as possible, because they know they always do have that scaling threat.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we talked about it basically since this game started. Like, the front-to-back potential of this team is tremendous. Like, you have probably 2 of the highest damage champions for their roles, specifically with the Victor and the Jinx on one team, and a very solid frontline at that, if they're able to get their items. Now, at this current state of the game, it's a pretty big if. I gotta say it. You know, DNX is in complete control. They have, once again, several tools to basically start a fight whenever anyone is out of position at any time. And if you're Hard Hat Zone, that's very, very scary. Like, you can see multiple members are, like, playing, like, super far back. They're fighting for vision in their own jungle just at the 15-minute marker. Sorry, 16-minute marker.
Yeah. It's definitely DNX looking to continue putting the pedal to the metal here. I don't know exactly what their next move is, because yes, they want to push the tempo of this game, but at the same time, there's not an objective spawning for 3 minutes. They are going to go topside though here. Bennett might be in a world of pain. Shady Gecko is here, going to find a couple knockups comboed with the Cyclone there. Bennett's going to find a good knockup of his own, flashes away. Flash from Panzora to join. They really want to look for this. Ignite is down, and they find it. Shady Gecko grabs the kill. Panzora able to find the knockups, able to find one once again, and yeah, okay, look, Hard Hat Zone are making a play for this bot side again, but I feel like this has happened all series long. Fahu and Exernian are just so good at absorbing this pressure. The dive is going to be unsuccessful. The flash Q is not going to find its mark for Llama, and Hard Hat Zone feel like they're grabbing at straws here in game number 3.
Yeah, and who's going to stop this Wukong in a side lane from this push? He's actually going to back off here and just get a reset here. But at the same time, like you said, every single time something has happened on the top half of the map.
Oh, Enchanted Crystal Arrow. Vex ult coming in as well. They're going to look for Dragon Mooncake. Flash away. Alternative looking to provide some space, but I don't know if it's going to matter. Dragon Mooncake will have Llama to jump to here. Shield comes through. The stopwatch actually is just going to allow them to get right on top again. And despite all his grandest efforts, Dragon Mooncake will be falling.
Yeah, you know, DNX, like, we've talked about, like, in terms of, like, making plays, right? Anytime one team makes a play on the top half of the map, you like to see the other team make a play on the bot half of the map. Yes, they got the bottom tier 1 tower. Congratulations, but you ended up losing a member on both the top and the bottom half of the map, as well as losing a tier 2 tower at that. So it's like, that's definitely just an awful trade here from Hard Hat Zone. And, you know, like, at this point, like, you're basically just kind of, like you said, grabbing at straws, doing the best that you can to potentially just get as much gold for your 2 carries as possible. You want those guys soaking up as many minions as possible, because, you know, we've talked about ticking time bomb. Basically, Hard Hat Zone is on ticking time bomb their own self this game, because at the 25-minute marker, when that dragon does come through, it is Cloud Soul, so it won't necessarily be a sorry, it is, oh wait, is it Cloud or is it?
Yeah, it's Cloud, you got it.
Okay, yeah. Sorry, my client looked a little weird for a second there. But yeah, so, like, they do have, like, this initial soul bearing coming through that will bring them so much power when that is picked up. And, you know, like we said, they have the scaling, but they've had the scaling game 1, game 2, and game 3. And DNX said, hey, guess what? It does not matter.
They just slap them in the early game and just don't ever stop. Panzora and the rest of the crew here, yeah, still in the driver's seat. All 3 games here in game 3, once again, having this gold lead, having the soul advantages. They're going to look for alternative. Flash away from the Jinx. Shady Gecko not going to have the re-engage come through on him as he has the Morgana shield, but Bennett now might be looking for it. Call of the Forge God gonna find a knock-up onto 2. Is this the moment for Hardhead's on Panzora? He's found the flank. That's a big knock-up for the Wukong. Here comes Catastol from the side. That's a big fear as well. The Wombo combo from the solo lanes of DNX, and they are gonna wipe the floor with Hard Hat Zone. The resets for Catastol will find another one. Mid only stands tall for a moment, but DNX get the 5 for 2. They're gonna break open the mid lane tower. They should grab the dragon for themselves as well, and DNX continue to put the pedal to the metal. They want that ticket to finals, baby.
Yeah, and once again, that's Hard Hat Zone taking a fight down 4,500 gold. They've done it game after game. I don't understand why they keep saying, you know what, we can fight these guys regardless of the item difference, summoner spell difference, and it just costs them every single game. When you have the scaling composition, you don't have to fight. You just have to chill out. You just have to relax. You just have to farm minions. But apparently, Hard Hat Zone is just not willing to do that in this series. And now, instead of being down 4,500 gold, you're down 8,000 gold.
Yeah, Jinx Rocket expended as well. They thought DNX were going for the dragon. They weren't just yet. They are now going to set up for it. But yeah, you're absolutely right. For Hard Hat Zone, it feels like there's a little bit of a misunderstanding about how to execute these types of scaling compositions. It feels like it was a pivot for them in this series, but actually there might be another fight here. Panzora looking for it. They still have the ultimate on the Vex. They're into the backline. Dragon Mooncake and mid only are going to survive for the time being. That's a nice knockup, actually. Bennett finds 4, but Panzora, he just don't care. Wukong go burr, and he's into the backside. Alternative will be the next target, and they've found them all. Bennett, you were out of position a little bit there, my friend, and now you will be the last one to be claimed. DNX with the clean 5 for 0. DNX looking to make this series a clean 3-0.
Yeah, and it's certainly looking like it. You can have the scaling advantage all you want, but at the same time, when you're down this much gold, this is almost insurmountable. 22 minutes in, 10,000 gold lead here for DNX, and this is ultimately just going to end up being a clean 3-0 sweep here for DNX, unless a massive throw does come through, which, like we talked about, multiple shutdowns coming through on the side of DNX here. So if a fight does happen and the gold lead swings absolutely in the favor of Hard Hat Zone, obviously there's still a chance. But this entire series, DNX has played it slow. They played it methodical. They've played it very, very cleanly. So I doubt it's going to happen now that we're in game 3, where you can potentially just knock Hard Hat Zone right out of the CCS.
Couple more minutes of clean execution from DNX, and we may be right there. Hard Hat Zone, we're the favorites heading into this match. They beat DNX in week 9 of the playoffs, but here, DNX show up and show that they are the better team. We'll see if there's a miracle comeback to be had here for Hard Hat Zone, because if their backs weren't up against the wall at the beginning of this game, Orion, they sure as hell are now.
Absolutely, and you know, the Baron is like uncontestable. Like, you took 2 fights that put yourself like we talked about 7 minutes ago. It was a 4,500 gold lead. They took 2 fights, just 2, and now all of a sudden you're down 12,000 gold. So you put yourself in this position. If you're Hard Hat Zone, you opted into 2 fights instead of just saying, you know what, we're going to give away the map for a little bit. We're just going to farm. We're not really going to contest. We're going to try to keep the gold even, or at least even to what it was with the 4,500 gold. Now all of a sudden, like, you're down like several items. Like, Jinx is still only on 1.5 items. Ashe is on 2.5. Vex is on 2.5. This Zac is unkillable. This guy will do more damage than a Jinx will in a team fight.
Yeah. Has some components of a Spirit Visage there as well, so it's going to be nigh on unkillable here in some of these fights. Yeah, I mean, okay, it is Kraken Slayer for the Jinx, so if she has 10 seconds of free time to auto this Zac, he will die eventually. But it's buying those 10 seconds that's going to be the tough part here. It does look like DNX are going to be methodical about this victory. They're 5 men strong here in the bot side, looking to use this Baron push and try to claim what they can. They haven't spent the time to push up any other lanes. They just say, listen, we're 12k up. We can just brute force these towers down as 5, and they will do exactly that. Shady Gecko gonna threaten a sort of all-in there, but is just gonna shortcast the E, and they'll look to break open the base. They will do exactly that and retreat back onto the map. They've created pressure in the bot side. They've got a wave pushing up here in the mid lane. Bennett's in the top side, but currently does not have a teleport available, so I'm curious to see what the call is here for Hard Hat Zone.
Honestly, if you're Hard Hat Zone, I think you just press your ultimate abilities at this tower. Like, you back them up off this tower. Catasol's in a really good position. Ornn will not be here. He is facing right now, so if they don't do it quickly, he can show.
This is the engage. Shady Gecko onto the Braum. Dragon Mooncake might be the target. No, they switch on him mid only, and he's been eviscerated. Shady Gecko going deep under these towers. Dragon Mooncake will buy some time for the team. Into the blobs goes the Zac. Llama now is going to have to flash away. Bennett's trying to stand trying to do what he can. It's Shady Gecko giving the resets to alternative, but look at that damage coming out. They will now turn around. They'll grab the inhibitor. They still have the Baron buff. Can they push for more? 3 versus 3 on the map. Sorry, scratch that. 4 versus 3 in the favor of DNX. Bennett doing what he can. That's a big knockup. Alternative. Free fire into the backside. Can they do it? Panzora will fall. That's the reset. The shield's coming through. Fahu is gonna turn it back around, but Hard Hat Zone, they've saved the game. They've come up with a miracle defense, and the game will continue at least a while longer.
Oh man, we see the potential there of this kind of scaling team fighting composition though, and honestly, Bennett chicked over to 14, even level 15 with all those shutdown and the kills and the XP coming through, so he's gonna give the upgraded item to, actually he gave it to Ivern?
What?
No way!
What are we doing?
That has to be a misclick. But at the same time, like, you're going to give your other upgrade to Jinx, which means Victor won't have his upgrade yet. So he's going to be level 16 until that item upgrade. That could actually be potentially, like, this game is almost over. It's still 13,000. Yes, they got a shutdown. They got a 1k out of Jinx. They got a little bit for them, but it's still 12,000 gold lead. So this game is still basically over. But we see the potential of Hard Hat Zone in some of these compositions, but at the same time, they put themselves in this position. They put themselves down 12,000 gold instead of being down maybe 6, maybe 7,000 gold.
Wind Soul will be a formality. DNX will pick that one up uncontested. Baron spawning in 2 minutes. The base here is a little bit in shambles for the side of Hard Hat Zone. They've got a couple waves pushing in on them. They can pick up some of this farm. 3 items now for alternative on this Jinx. Working on the components here of a Void Staff as well for mid only. Now, it looks like pretty soon here he will have that upgrade, but maybe the argument here is, listen, mid only has 1 item. Giving this the upgrade, the Ornn upgrade to Llama to give alternative some more shields and some more heals with the Moonstone. Maybe that's kind of the idea there, but ideally you do want all 3 of those items upgraded and ready to go for this next fight.
Yeah, unfortunately it doesn't actually help too much with the extra healing. It only gives a little bit of extra health and a little bit of extra ability power. It doesn't actually help with the mythic passive, unfortunately, so it doesn't actually do a whole lot for the Ivern here, but it does make it a little tankier. You know, it's a nice feeling, you know, for the Ivern, but you would love to see that damage coming through, and honestly, they're picking up some nice little CS here, and maybe mid only will be able to clear these waves on repeat with that, that Ray coming through on Victor's E, so we'll have to wait and see when DNX decides to basically just push the tempo here, like they have basically at any given time. They will be able to go, and you know, Bennett is, I'm going to check to see what Bennett's XP level is here, if I can ever actually click on him. He's about 3/4 of the way full to level 16, so I doubt he'll hit level 16 until an actual fight happens, so DNX is going to pressure the inhibs here. They're going to try to get 3 of them before that Baron spawns up, and if 3 inhibitors happen with the Baron, I don't care how much wave clear you have, it's going to be almost impossible to deal with those minions.
DNX are 1 fight away from CCS finals. They need to find 1 more engagement. They need to kill Hard Hat Zone 1 more time to punch their tickets to final. Minions streaming into the base in the bot and mid lane with these inhibitors down. Super minions are being cleared up here by alternative and mid only, who have their fair share of wave clear. But look at this. They've pinned Hard Hat Zone into their base for so long that now DNX can just walk out, go pick up this Baron buff for free, and then look to continue their siege of the base.
Yeah, but at the same time, though, this Baron is going to fall, and they're going to go right back up into that top lane. They're going to use the Baron push with the mid lane minions, with the bot lane minions coming through, but with the little time that they have stalled out, like we've seen multiple items come through. Jinx is now 3 items. Victor, 2 items. Upgraded item as well. So, and we have some pretty solid mythic components coming through here. So yeah, you're still down 12k, but you're definitely in a much better position than you were a couple minutes ago, just from all these super minions piling into your base. And it's honestly one of the downsides of having super minions push through to your base, because like unless you're able to get a really good engage and push through, the other team will just be able to soak up all the minions, and these super minions will kill the minions a lot faster than you can sometimes. But Panzora is going to the bot half of the map. He's going to try to put that pressure onto the bot inhib that has respawned, and the rest of the team is most likely going to go to the top lane so they can actually just take that tower and potentially take away that inhib as well.
Pushing on 2 fronts here, mid and bot. They've got their grouped up squad in the mid lane, and then Panzora pushing on the sides. They've got their lanes synced up here, their waves synced up. Fahu now gonna put some pop shots here into this mid inhibitor. They will be able to claim that one. Panzora whittling away at this bottom one is gonna be able to chunk that one down as well. So we're back to the moment that we were just a few moments ago. This time though, DNX have the Baron buff to try and go with this siege. These cannon minions popping away, getting some damage on this tower with every single shot. DNX playing this slowly, using the Iron Bushes in this base. We'll see if they want to pull the trigger here, or if they're going to leave the onus onto Hard Hat Zone. Say, listen, we're whittling away at your base. We win this game eventually. When are you going to hit the go button? We'll have to see.
Yeah, and Panzora can melt this top lane tower.
Oh, that's the Ash Arrow. On to mid only. This could be the engagement coming forward. Dragon Moon Cake looking to provide some space. It is Bennett using the Call of the Forge God, but he's not going to find anyone. Shady Gecko into the middle of the fight. He's bouncing around. He's bouncing at the Zac. There's a big knockup actually from Daisy. They found some CC. Exernian is very low. This is Hard Hat Zone looking to chase them off, but now Panzora. This will be the fight. They found 2. The Jinx is dead. That's all the hope for Hard Hat Zone, and DNX will clean up the fight. The engagement from Panzora finds the back lane targets, and it's gonna be the 3-0 victory here for DNX.
Yeah, Hard Hat Zone forgot there for a second. They're still down 14,000 gold at that time of the game. They just realized that they saw momentum. They saw the potential to win out on that fight. But Panzora, once again, coming up clutch, coming through in the moment that they needed him to be there. He had such a phenomenal series all the way through. And at this, and all of a sudden, DNX showed up massively.
I don't think very many people expected this to be a 3-0 for DNX. I know I certainly didn't. Those of you
what all of that DNX, what Hard Hat Zone was able to throw at them throughout the series. And then, like Lindorr mentioned just a second ago, Hard Hat Zone having to adjust their overall composition here in terms of that they had BBB mid only coming through. He is the scaling mid lane control mage player. And ultimately, we ended up seeing how, ultimately it was just not enough in the series. And, Panzora played the scaling couple matches at the top lane and just outlaned Bennett every single game. And even game 3, when we saw Bennett pull out the tank, Panzora honestly just pulled out the Wukong and had so much impact on all of these fights. That guy had a phenomenal series.
Absolutely true. A couple of people in chat requesting that we restart the what we were saying as we came out of that game. basically, all I said was I have two main takeaways from that series. The first one is DNX adapting, like you said, Orion, to the strategy that we saw out of Hard Hat Zone in their Week 9 matchup. I thought that DNX had a fantastic game plan heading into this series, doubling down on their strong topside strategy and executing on that incredibly well. I was really impressed. The other takeaway, and Orion touched a little bit on this as well, was Hard Hat Zone looking a little bit uncomfortable on some of these scaling picks and in some of these scaling scenarios. So unfortunately, like you said, it was mid only in the mid lane. They did have not their full starting lineup here tonight. And I like the idea, right? This game 3 draft, I think makes a lot of sense. It's just that they didn't have the wherewithal and the practice and the know-how on some of those picks, and some of those slip-ups are what led to them losing the series, unfortunately. So.
Yeah, and really kudos to DNX throughout the entire series. Honestly, I thought these guys played this phenomenally well. Every single time Panzora was destroying top lane, Llama tried to do the same thing to bot lane, but Exernian and Fahu, sorry, I couldn't think of his name because of the name change. But yeah, Fahu and Exernian played that bot lane so well because they basically just said, you know what? We are not going to be the reason why my team loses. And even in game 3, when Panzora was the one being nullified, they were making things happen in the bot lane. It just felt like they had complete control over the series from game 1, and Hard Hat Zone just did not have an answer. They tried to do what they did in week 9. They tried to put the Nasus in the top lane, the Kale in the top lane. It just didn't work. Panzora just dominated Bennett in that top half of the map. And then when they did go for the 5v5 scaling, they were down 4,500 gold, and they kept looking for fights. They kept trying to challenge, and they just kept putting themselves further and further behind. And ultimately, it was their demise in game 3. DNX, they weren't willing to make a mistake towards the end. They wanted to play it slow. They wanted to play it clean. They wanted it to be a 3-0, and it was.
It sure was. Yeah, I mean, there was a moment in that game 3 where resets for Jinx were coming through in the base, and for a moment, I thought, wow, have they stalled out the game? Or is there a way for them to come back in this? Imagine that fight if instead of being down 10, 11, 12,000 gold, they're only down the 4 or 5 that they were previously, right? Orion, You're absolutely right. It was a few of those moments where they didn't allow their team composition to get online before taking those fights. So unfortunately, we do have to say goodbye to Hard Hat Zone today. I know they're a fan favorite. We love them here, but they weren't the better team on the day. DNX showing up in the best of 5 series, punching their tickets to finals. And we are going to have an interview here in just a moment with Shady Gecko, I do believe. So we're going to step back for just 1 sec while we set that up, and we'll be back with the victorious Gecko. Welcome back, everybody. We are here with the victorious Shady Gecko from DNX. Shady Gecko, thank you for joining us, and congratulations on the win.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's
First,
definitely exciting.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm sure you guys are stoked after that victory. First things first, not a lot of people expected this series to go 3-0 either way. Were you guys surprised with the showing today from you guys or from Hard Hat Zone?
I think I definitely didn't think it was going to be 3-0 for us. I thought we were going to win, but I thought that, there would be something in draft that would happen, or we thought side selection was going to be really important.
Right.
But I think it ended up not mattering as much.
Yeah, I mean, it felt like you guys had complete control over this series. Honestly, from game one all the way up to game three, it didn't really feel like it was honestly very close. Game one and game two, they tried to mimic the style that they had week nine. They put Bennett on a scaling champion both games and just said, "Hey, we'll see you in 25 minutes." But you and Penzora did a fantastic job just completely nullifying that guy to where he was not even a champion until like 35 minutes of that game. Was that a strategy when you saw those champions being locked in, saying, "Hey, we're just gonna split the map. We're gonna play just shut down that top lane and just put Panzora miles ahead"?
So I think your wording at the beginning of that question is funny because after the second game, I made the comment to the team that Hard Hat Zone was playing the series from week 9, and we're playing a different series right now.
Mhm.
They kind of kept the same strategy, and we, did a whole lot of prep of it. I got to really give big props to Xernian. She got a draft, and every time, mostly me, came up with like a draft adaptation that I was thinking about. She was like, "Nope, this is what we're doing. This is the plan." And I think we had really good drafts going into that. Um,
I
I think for like the scaling and the 25 minutes, another adaptation that we made is that we didn't like freak out and try to do a whole lot like really early. It more came into like mid game and like squeezing out CS advantages and turret advantages, etc.
I like that you bring up that week 9 series because obviously we did a lot of talking about it today, and obviously you guys had a lot of prep just off the back of that series to prepare for this one. Um, if that series had gone differently, say you guys had won game 3 in week 9 and you had walked away with the victory there, do you think this series would have gone differently? Do you think that loss that Hard Hat Zone handed you guys in week 9 kind of lended itself to helping you guys through this one?
I don't know how different it would be now, but I do think that the loss was really good for us because we were riding pretty high, obviously,
Right.
Yeah.
from winning a whole lot, and then we kind of got dumpstered game 1 and 3, and I think one of the things was like Llama's jungling really surprised me, and this time I was a little more prepared for it.
Seemed like you all were prepared for it because he was trying
Yeah.
pretty hard in all 3 of the games, honestly, to play for bot side. And I don't know, I'd have to go back and check, but it didn't feel like to me that he got very many successful ganks off at all that series. So yeah, that,
Yeah, more Fawu, Fawu, and Xernian did. Honestly, they did so well to like so much pressure. I know that they were like down in CS and everything,
Mhm.
but they were getting like 4-man, 3-man, 5-man at times, and we were just making macro plays on the other side. So I'm glad that those turned out well and that they were able to lose gracefully.
pressure sponges for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was definitely a pretty major talking point that we had throughout this series was like typically like when we see like a lot of teams contest one half of the map, you basically have to answer the other half of the map just to kind of stay even. And Exerdian and Fahu did such a great job, just like you said, soaking up so much actual pressure and basically denying any type of play that Hardhead Sun wanted to do. Going into obviously the grand finals, you do have potential opponent between Goldfish Gaming and Horizon. Looking at that matchup a little bit, who do you think is going to end up being like the winner of that series, and why do you think they're going to end up winning that series?
Um, I don't want to leak too much, but because we did scrim both of them,
Okay.
I think that I honestly think that either team can win, and it's going to come down to who can execute on their win conditions better and who can kind of subvert the other's win conditions. Because playing them, they both kind of had pretty clear strategies, and those strategies will have to kind of clash against each other, and we'll see which one comes out on top.
There you go.
Awesome. Yeah, obviously don't want to leak
Yeah.
too much there. But how does it feel? Last question here from me. How does it feel being the Wednesday representative going into finals? Obviously, you want to get the victory, but you're also representing all of the other Wednesday teams. You're the best of the bunch. You're even representing Hard Hat Zone, who you just beat and who you also just said maybe gave you a little bit of help as far as improving yourselves. So how does it feel being the best team out of Wednesday, and how badly do you want to win to kind of represent all of the other teams here?
It feels really good to have put in all the work all season, win that, and then be moving on. And I believe that we're the best team. I know Hard Hat Zone had some subs, and you can say some things about that, but I think that, our coordination and everything that we showed tonight
Mhm.
makes it pretty obvious that despite anything, we were the best team in the Wednesday league. So I'm really happy that we're the ones representing Wednesday. And Thursday, you guys are going down.
Love that confidence. Love to see it. Yeah, I'm super stoked for the finals. We'll see how they go. Orion, do you have anything else before we sign off?
I do have not necessarily one last question, but kind of like one last little statement. Due to the fact that Hard Hat Zone actually was the winner of the lock-in tournament, I do believe you guys actually do end up getting side selection priority for Game 1, Game 3, and
Ah.
Game 5. So, yeah, you guys didn't win lock-in, but thanks to Hard Hat Zone, you guys actually do get that priority selection. So, a nice little tidbit there for a team that you guys just beat.
Thank you very much, Hard Hat Zone. We appreciate you.
Love to hear it. Love to hear it. All the Wednesday teams banding together now to take on those nasty Thursday players. We'll see how that one does go. Shady Gecko, once again, congratulations on the win, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right. Well, we are going to sign off for the night here. Congratulations one more time to all the members of DNX for that awesome victory. One thing that we haven't done yet, though, Orion, we have not awarded a series MVP. And it being the conference finals, we can't just ignore that. So,
Yeah.
we've given it a little bit of thought here, throughout this interview. We've heard from Shady Gecko. Who you got in the conference finals MVP?
Yeah, I think the MVP of this series kind of has to go to Wednesday's MVP, Panzora. The guy was so not detrimental, but so influential in this series that he just had such an impact Game 1 and Game 2 with his individual lane. And he's having so much strong impact in a lot of these fights. And then in Game 3, yeah, he didn't necessarily win lane, but he did so much in these team fights, disrupting so many fights with Cyclone over and over again. Honestly, the guy was such a key player for this season, and there's a reason why he's the MVP for Wednesday.
Absolutely. People had their doubts at the end of the season, but Panzora showed up when it mattered most. Of course, the rest of the team playing around him fantastically. You just heard from Shady Gecko. Hats off to their bot lane for soaking all of the pressure from Hard Hat Zone. It takes a whole team to win a game, but Panzora stood above the rest. Congratulations once again to DNX. This is Lindorr and Orion signing off for the night. We'll see you next time.